Jesus existed and he was a man. That is a lie. And it's not a malicious lie, or it didn't start out that way. It was a secret. It was, this magic mushroom is a direct connection to God. Do we want our enemies to go conversing and being connected with God? Not really. So we'll keep this to ourselves. And so the enemies did find out about it, and they forbid the partaking of it. Tortured people, killed people that did take it. And now these days there's a connection with the Bible, because the Christians that go to church these days, they may find themselves having mental problems, and they may find themselves in mental institutions, and doctors not really listening to what their problem is and just giving them drugs. And those drugs aren't free. So it's like here we are back to the doctors, the people that originally created the story that Jesus was a man and not a mushroom. Yeah, the church is involved, but it was doctors that didn't want other people to know how to turn people on in such a way that kept it to themselves. And that's why I laugh, because apart from $100,000, the actual establishment, if you think you can take on the establishment that has created such a heinous lie.
Nice one, Chevy.
God, we are like walking idiots. We are spiritual babies. We know so very little about ourselves. And everything we do is for show, for the person that's watching. Why? Because we're driven by our egos. When they had the mushrooms, it changed their DNA. Mushrooms change your DNA. And it's in there, in history. There are people that have got mushroom DNA, and there are people that haven't got so much mushroom DNA. And depending on which one of these peoples you are, is depending on how much you're going to see or not. Seeing bread. Mushroom in Hebrew means seeing bread. That comes from the Bible. All this information is proof and evidence that Jesus was a mushroom. Joshua was a mushroom. Moses was a mushroom. Every prophet that's ever been given a name was a mushroom. Prophets, what are prophets? Yeah, I mean there are apparently 7 different types of mushrooms. Euphydgens.
Hallucinogenic.
And that's the hallucinogenic. Right.
I mean, Jesus allegedly said the only way to the kingdom of heaven is through him, which if he was a fly-agaric mushroom makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But Jesus the mushroom is the gateway to the kingdom of heaven. And Jesus is depicted in the New Testament as being a humble man. Well, Jesus the mushroom right? It does away with the human ego, and it makes a much more humbler servant, a humbler person of that person. It has an effect, does it not?
Yeah. And that's why Jesus was a mushroom, because...
And that's why the meek will inherit the earth, because it's that humble understanding of the earth and nature and what it actually is, will be the people that are left there with it after all the dickheads have got their gold-plated rockets and fucked off to Alpha Centauri. And all the best to them. Hurry up and get on with it. Isn't it?
I hope I've got it on the camera, right? Because you're facing that way, so hearing you is going to be hard.
Talking to the wind.
So to conclude, if Billy Ardosa takes it to court because he gets his $100,000 and he gets in there, the information that he's going to need to prove that he can partake of mushrooms legally in this day and age, because it's his religion, his Christian religion, his right as a Christian, because he sees it as the Holy Sacrament, and that's how they saw it, the Holy Sacrament that will save you. So if he does that, he is going to need the proof that came from the church commissioning John Allegro to go to the Qumran and decipher the Dead Sea Scrolls, where he discovered that the ancient Sumerians were absolutely obsessed with mushrooms, magic mushrooms that enabled them to talk to God direct. I think it's quite understandable, that religion, and that, like, realistically he should have, Billy Ardosa, yeah man, you should have your way. You should be allowed to partake of magic mushrooms. We all should, especially with this evidence. But you won't necessarily like this evidence because it's going against your solid belief that Jesus was a man that told us to partake of mushrooms. We've got no proof there ever was a man doing that called Jesus that's relevant to this story, because the proof that is relevant to this story that Jesus was a man in the story is only relevant in as much as they were hiding their true secrets.
I just found a memory card from someone's phone. Some good pictures, huh?
I was on one then.
Oh, get on it. Get off it, get on it. Edit, cut, and action.